The whole thing is fucked up.
You're On the Edge with Andrew Gold, and that was true crime legend Amanda Knox. If you like interviews with the most controversial and extreme people, then you'll love On the Edge with Andrew Gold. Here's me talking to a real-life psychopath.
How would you feel if somebody just started strangling me?
Well, I do not feel connected to you, Andrew.
I take you inside cults such as extreme Islam.
I thought I was going to die out there.
Before we delve into the darkest minds.
Was there violence? Yes.
Find it wherever you get your podcasts. That's On the Edge with Andrew Gold.
Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh,
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the show that makes one person's trash another one's edible garbage. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda.
Nothing like starting the episode off with what's going to be your end of the episode clip. My God, it took me 3 times to get that right.
Oh my God. I don't know what's happened to you, Trevin.
I'm losing it. I got my flu shot earlier. Maybe that's doing it.
Blame the flu shot.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So what is your dreadful dilemma?
So my dilemma has to do with a specific beverage. Milk.
Oh God. Okay.
So Emily went on a fancy work trip a while back, and she kept telling me all the fancy dishes that they had.
Uh-huh.
She was like, oh, we had this with goat cheese and blah, blah, blah. And a little bit of sprinkle of this and a salad and some goat cheese and goat cheese and this. And I'm like, okay, why is goat cheese the fancy cheese for when you do something upscale?
Okay.
Am I supposed to think that goats are more sophisticated than cows? Because I don't. Goats eat garbage. I love goats. I absolutely do.
Right. Goats are very cute.
But I don't think of a goat as something that's fancy. I'm on the subject of milk, and I'm thinking more about milks and stuff. And I think, okay, we took a long break from milking animals for a while. You know, we started milking almonds. We milked soy. But now we have actually pea milk, not urine.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, too far.
It's actually pretty good. PEA, like peas, they make milk out of it. There's a chocolate pea milk that's super good.
What in the hell?
And I can get pea protein, or they get the protein from them. So,
wow.
I'm thinking, let's get back to the animals thing. Why did we stop? Every animal essentially produces milk, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to try bear milk.
Oh my God.
You know, I want to try something wild.
Bears make milk, right?
Most animals do, right?
I don't know. Don't ask me. I mean, I am still currently making milk as we talk right now.
See? So why aren't we making Amanda cheese for my salads or something?
I can be the quirky cheese that only goes on the really tangy dishes or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, I don't really get why goat cheese is the fancier cheese. But then I thought, you know what? Why question just cheese when I can question big milk entirely?
You know what? Big milk causing chaos left and right all over the place.
Yeah, get out of here, big milk.
That's a really good point. And why? I mean, okay, I get it. Cheese from cows is the most common, but they have to specifically put goat in the name.
Right.
I don't get it either. And when you say goat cheese, I do immediately think of fancier, a level up from the normal cheese. And you know how I love cows.
Yes, you do.
So that's saying something. But I don't know. I don't know why they do that.
This is what I came down to, and I don't know if that's true or not. But after having this conversation with Emily, I thought, okay, when it comes to fancy dishes, I think they just like to put more words in the title. So if you say with cheese, that's not as exciting. But if I was going to say shrimp tartare a la mode with a side of raisinette encrusted candied peas and a good side helping of goat cheese. It just adds more words to it. And therefore you think, there's too much for me to process here. This must be out of my price range.
Right.
I must have it.
I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to buy.
So to put that extra word to describe the milk, I think is what makes it fancier.
Interesting.
That's just my crazy thoughts.
You know, it is crazy, but it could be true.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's really funny, Trevin, is that our dreadful dilemmas honestly kind of tie in together in a small way.
Uh-oh.
Because I also have a dreadful dilemma.
Let's get dreadful.
So I brought this book because it's something that you just need to hear to believe. And it is a book titled Around the Farm.
By Eric Carle. Isn't that the dude who did The Hungry Caterpillar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So each book, you know, and forgive me if anyone's looking at this, probably not.
Wow, Lila, it's not a coloring book.
Lila scribbled on this book a lot when we first got it. So there's that. But it really doesn't have to do with the pictures. The pictures are beautiful. Everything's great. It has to do with one of these animals' sounds in the book.
Oh, yeah. For anybody who's just listening, it's one of those, what are they called? Just it's like a storybook where it has a button and you push it and it makes a sound.
Yes. I don't know what they're called, if there's a technical...
I used to have a huge collection of them as a kid.
Oh, play a sound. I don't know if that's what they're called, but it says that on the back. So it's pictures of the animals, and then there's a column on the right-hand side, and there's buttons you can push, and it'll do the sound the animal makes, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So all of them are very normal. All of them are very accurate. But there is one animal sound in this children's book that disturbs me and my husband Jordan to no end. And you're a farm boy. I would love...
It's so weird to call myself that, but okay.
I would love for you to tell me if this is an accurate depiction.
Okay, give me the animal first, and I will make the noise, and we'll see how close I am.
Ooh, okay. Donkey.
Hee honk.
Is that really what they sound like?
Or they're like, I can't, you know what? It's a little more whimpery, and
Okay.
it's like, it's, I don't know, whiny.
Well, let me play this then.
Okay.
Let me try and hold it up to the mic.
Donkey.
I hate it. One more time for the folks at home.
Donkey.
Why? Why?
It's weak. It sounds kind of half-hearted, and it makes me think of a really awkward sex scene.
It's so awful. Like I said, all the other sounds, I have no problem. Listen to this adorable turkey.
Turkey.
Great sound.
Really accurate, really beautiful, really lovely. And then you get to the donkey.
Donkey.
Oh. I hate it so damn much. And I had to bring that book because every time we read it, every single time, we're going through whatever, life is great. And then as soon as we get to the donkey and Lila hits the button, Jordan and I just lose our shit. We can't even handle the donkey sound. So I wanted to bring it so you could hear it. And I wanted you to tell me if I'm tripping or if that's weird as shit.
It's off. It doesn't capture the, you know, when a dog quietly cries and it's like that, like that kind of like high pitch. It's missing that.
Okay.
It just sounds so emotional and whiny.
Yeah.
And that does sounds like a really bored donkey.
And it does have a weird, nasty quality to it, too. I don't
Donkey,
know.
you nasty.
Yeah, like you a nasty donkey. I don't know. I hate it so much. So if any other parents or people that have children's books have this one, I'm so sorry you have to hear that.
I mean, Eric Carle, he's been around.
Yeah.
He makes children's books.
I know.
So I want him to fire his sound effect guy.
I immediately...
Bring me in, because I know sound effects way better. I wouldn't have let that piss poor donkey in my book.
Worst donkey I've ever heard.
And the award for worst donkey? Eric Carle's donkey. I grew up with a lot of books like that. I had Ninja Turtle ones, and my favorite one growing up was a Muppets one.
Ooh, that would be good.
And it was about Miss Piggy lost her dog because she had a little white poodle-looking dog named Fufu.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And
Okay,
so there was a button that had a picture of Fufu. It'd be Miss Piggy's voice going, Fufu, Fufu. And there was also one with Kermit holding a banjo because, he played the banjo. And the sound effect for the banjo was so bad. It sounded nothing like a real banjo. It was like...
Oh, hell no.
So whenever I see a banjo, I think of that sound. And that's the kind of stuff that sticks because that was one of the first times I ever saw a banjo or heard a banjo.
Dude, this is what Lila and Winnie now, too, are going to think of when they see a donkey.
Yeah, she's going to be like 15 years old and go to a pumpkin patch or something and be like, hey, look, Mom, a donkey. And that is just sad.
Dreadful.
It'll be hard to get that out.
Oh, my God. So, I'm so glad you agree with me. So today we are going to be doing a round of trivia. Whoa, Trevin. We do not have the rights to say that.
Let's have a fun time.
And it's your week.
So I have some trivia, and here is my question for you today.
I feel smart today.
Oh, good. We need that. Okay, my question. What is Alice in Wonderland syndrome?
This sounds super familiar to me. Okay, yeah.
Does it? Okay.
I think I've skimmed about this once.
So you might guess this correct. Okay. So Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Is it A, having the constant fear of being late for a very important date? B, experiencing reoccurring and unexpected acid trip side effects long after using the drug? Or C, a distortion of perception, causing objects to seem much bigger, smaller, closer, or further than they actually are?
Maybe I have just heard about the syndrome, but never actually dug into it. I'm going to go with the acid trip one, B.
Okay.
But, I'm not 100% sure.
You're wrong.
Damn.
I know. I threw that one in there on purpose because I didn't look up what that actually is, but I've actually heard of that being a thing where people will use acid and then years down the road, if they crack their spine or something, it'll give them acid trip side effects or something.
It's almost like acid trip PTSD. Like you just don't know when it's going to sneak up on you, but it will.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about that, but I have briefly heard of that being a thing. And with Alice in Wonderland just kind of giving an acid trip vibe, I thought that would be a good one to get you off the scent.
It worked.
It's not the constant fear of being late for a very important date either.
I knew it wasn't that one.
So it was C, a distortion of perception. And I wanted to actually read a little bit more about this. I am on Wikipedia here. Again, don't judge us.
Yeah, we can't read real books.
So, Alice in Wonderland syndrome. It's a neuropsychological condition that causes a distortion of perception. People may experience distortions in visual perception of objects, such as appearing smaller or larger, closer or further than they actually are. Distortion may also occur for senses other than vision, which I don't know what exactly that means. And then this is really weird too. The cause of Alice in Wonderland syndrome is currently unknown, but it has often been associated with migraines, head trauma, or viral encephalitis. It is also theorized that it can be caused by abnormal amounts of electrical activity, resulting in abnormal blood flow in those parts of the brain which process the visual perception and texture. Also, another thing that I thought was really, really weird is that it can happen in both adolescents, adults, all these ages, but it says that it's most common in children, which that's another good reason why it maybe got its name too, because Alice was indeed a child. I don't know how much that came into play, but isn't that bizarre?
That is really weird. And so it just kind of happens.
I guess there's really not a lot of studies or facts or reasoning behind it that I could find anywhere. So that was very fascinating to me, like a mysterious ailment, you know? So I guess it just kind of throws you off enough. Because when I'm thinking, okay, things might look larger or bigger or smaller or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that would be weird. But like, how much would it really throw you off, you know?
I mean, it could really throw off your depth perception.
That's true.
Or hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, but as soon as it said further and closer, and then I really started thinking about, okay, what if I saw this microphone and it was like microscopic and I'd be like trying to get to it, you know? Or I don't know. So it's very bizarre.
Did it say how common that was?
No,
I feel like not very many people probably have this.
I don't think I saw any statistics on that, but I feel like it's not very common. And it also went by like a few other names too, probably because it's so rare and so mysterious that somebody may have called it that and someone may have called it that or whatever.
Yeah.
But what a weird thing.
Yeah, the whole time you were talking about it, I was thinking of body dysmorphia, but that's not objects, that's just yourself.
Which another article I did read about Alice in Wonderland syndrome did talk about parts of your body can look bigger and larger too. But it is everything. It's not just your body.
Yeah. So I can't even say that I have a little bit of it.
Right. Unless you're looking right now and something just looks huge that shouldn't be, then yeah, no.
Just boots.
Boots. He's calling you a chunky monk. Oh, look how cute he is.
He's a beautiful guy.
But yeah, I hadn't heard of that and found it to be really weird.
That is really weird and interesting, and I would have just assumed an acid thing, so that was a really good one to get me off the scent.
God, you've gotten so many of them right, though, lately, that I needed to defeat you.
And I needed to deflate my head a little bit, because I thought I was impervious to wrong answers. So I've got a trivia question for you.
Yay.
And it's going to tie a little bit in with my dilemma.
Oh, God.
So my trivia question is, what's with all the milk? But for real, though, why is milk such a staple in the American diet? Your choices are A, World War I ramped up milk production and hasn't stopped since. B, an overwhelming population of milk cows. Or C, it's good for humans and strengthening their bones.
If I remember correctly, in my 90s childhood, there were posters everywhere about milk making your bones strong. But I'm pretty sure that was debunked. So I'm going to take C out. Also, I don't think there's an excessive amount of milk cows, but I could be so wrong. I'm going to go with A.
You are correct.
Finally!
Yeah, I feel like my answers to throw you off the scent weren't as good this week. But I really wanted to talk about this when it probably should have been a killer fact. But anyway, in World War I, that was our first major big war and whatnot. So the American government told farmers, stop doing crops, stop doing this. You need to get all the milk you can because we're going to send milk to our soldiers overseas. So they would make a bunch of powdered milks and different milk products. So World War I ended. And they said, okay, you guys, we don't need to make so much milk anymore. And the farmers were like, well, you told me to make a lot of milk, and now I want to keep making milk.
Yeah.
So they kept making milk, but it wasn't getting drank.
Oh.
So instead of just telling the poor, fragile Americans to just maybe find a different hobby other than milk, go back to doing crops or something. We were like, no, it's fine. We'll make it work. So we had this excessive amount of milk, which then the government had to find a way of selling it and get rid of it.
Oh my God.
So throughout the years, that's why we had so many ads for milk when we were kids.
Oh.
Because our country was losing money in excess milk. And so they were trying to be like, hey, people, you should drink more milk. Hey, it's good for your bones. When actually there's a lot of studies that say that brittle bone syndrome and stuff like that can be caused from too much milk.
Holy shit.
Around 60% of Americans are lactose intolerant. But
I didn't know it was that high, actually. I'm saying, I knew it was...
It's a lot.
I knew it was common, but that common?
To some degree. Like, not
That's
as
true.
bad as like some people. I know it's not great for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not lactose intolerant, but I know that there are issues when I have too much of it. Mm-hmm. So the government, that's when they made dairy such a big part of the food pyramid. They started putting it in schools and saying that's the only drink you can really have in schools. And a lot of government assisted programs were always like milk, 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 milk. There was a big thing with Ronald Reagan in the 80s where if you needed money, the government would give you a lot of milk products. That's where the term government cheese came from.
Oh my God.
But the thing that I found really interesting out of all of this was the government made a sort of agreement with all the fast food chains of America to where they said, you have to put out more products with milk.
Oh, good God.
So the government actually, they were kind of the creators of stuffed crust pizza because they're like, how can we make you sell more cheese? We need you to make more cheese, more milk, and get it to the people. So they came up with stuffed crust pizza. They worked with Domino's to create some sort of pizza that was 40% more cheese. They work with Starbucks, Taco Bell.
Starbucks?
Well, there's a lot of milk and coffee drinks.
Oh, yeah. What am I talking about? I was thinking cheese.
No, so it's just
Okay.
all milk products in general, but
Okay.
cheese is usually the big one.
Wow.
It's just like, what can we do to make your company create more cheese milk-centric dishes?
So I can understand how way back when they asked these farmers, hey, let's get some more milk, which I wonder why they even did that in the first place. I don't know if it was just the easiest thing to send or what.
I don't even know.
So that's weird in itself.
There's probably more information I could have on that.
Yeah, but I could see how the farmers would be like, okay, you made me do this. I have all these milk cows now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, being a current breastfeeding mother, being a milk cow myself right now,
Wow, you really have a strong opinion on this, I'm sure.
I do. The more your milk is needed, right, the more you produce. And I'm sure that's probably how it is with milk and dairy cows as well. So they're probably having these cows working 9 to 5.
I knew you were going for it.
Call back.
What a way to make a living.
But they probably have them pumping all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so their supply is probably going crazy. But couldn't they just slowly and gradually pull back? Or I don't know. There's got to be another way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know for
Save
me,
the resources for something else.
yeah, that is just so weird to me. Because for me, when I want to stop breastfeeding, I'm going to gradually wean off.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Maybe for dairy cows, that's not how it works. Maybe they're always going to make milk. I don't know.
Or just stop breeding them at least, or breed them less.
Yeah, it's wild. Don't get me wrong. I love cheese and I love milk. I mean, I don't drink a ton of it, but I love creamer in my coffee. You know, I love smoothies. And like I said, I love cheese, but my God. Wow, I did not know it was a government thing that made stuffed crust a thing.
Yeah, the USDA is the whole reason the Got Milk ads in the 90s were big, because they
That
were
was
just
wild.
They were just getting every athlete they could, every celebrity is like, take a milk mustache picture. It'll make the kids want it.
And it did. I remember that was ingrained into our brains.
It was great marketing.
It
Like they were
was.
like black and white or kind of sepia-ish. And
Yeah.
they just were kind of classy and fun.
Yeah.
So us millennials have kind of been killing the milk market a little bit because we like our plant-based stuff, like I said, milk and a pea and whatnot.
Yeah, I gotta try that. I've tried almond milk, but
Apparently, the USDA has been trying to revitalize this by something called the California Milk Processing Board. I don't know what this is. They are trying to target millennial families in attempt to win back milk consumers.
oh my God.
I don't know what marketing they're going to try. Maybe it'll be a Fortnite cow suit or something that'll make people want milk. I don't know. Good luck, because I feel like our generation is a lot more health conscious.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is take a little bit of break from milk, and I'm like, I shouldn't go back to this. But then I go to Andy's and get ice cream. So.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
honestly, ice cream and a little bit of creamer, about the only thing I do milk with.
Yeah. And when you really think about it, only babies need milk.
Mm-hmm. I do love cheese, though. Yeah.
I love cheese. I know. But really, though, milk is meant for babies. And then once you get older, I don't think you really need it. But I would be really sad without it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But don't worry, guys. I'm not going to have anything about milk in my story. So
Oh my God.
milk is only a 2-segment thing for me.
I was wondering. I was like, damn, someone stole a bunch of milk.
Yeah, Trevin's got beef with milk.
Well, that was fascinating. Wow. As a personal milk cow, I feel a lot for these cows, but we got to find a different way.
We really do. And we can't let marketing dictate what we do.
No. So we are on to story time.
Right after
These ads.
Whoop, whoop.
So I am going back to the news this week. I had a couple weeks off doing a personal and a listener tale, so I figured it was time.
First news of 2023 for you.
Ooh, I didn't even think of it like that. But yes, this is another one that was suggested to me from my dad.
Ooh, I was going to say it's either Jordan or your dad.
Yes, my dad, actually both him and Jordan, they're constantly looking for weird stories. And if they see anything, they're sending them to me like immediately. So I'm very grateful for that. And just so you listeners, all of you know, you can do that to us as well. I will not be mad about that at all.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, we ask for you to send your own petty stories, but I mean, if you just find an interesting article or something, we've had a couple listeners
We have
tag us in and say, hey, what do you think about this? And I have one or two on my list that were brought to my attention by some other listeners.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I thought that this one was almost too good to be true. But it weirdly is. So let's just jump right in and here we go. The word boss can be used in many different ways. As a verb, boss is something an overachiever classmate does when assigned to be in a group project. As an adjective, boss is when someone does something super fucking awesome in front of their friends.
Boss-ass move, broski.
And as a noun, boss is a person in charge of their employees' freedom and livelihood.
I'm going to need you to up your productivity while I lower your pay.
Today I will be discussing the noun version of the word boss. Arguably, the most terrifying version there is. Because nothing is scarier than a boss unhinged. So clock in and listen up. Betty was the perfect example of what a boss should be. She had been a manager at her local Madison, Wisconsin Denny's restaurant for a decade and was great at it. She could delegate tasks flawlessly in the middle of the Sunday brunch rush,
I need sausage. Stat!
memorized every Denny's special, and was firm but fair to her punk-ass teen employees.
Your pancakes suck, but you could be a great busboy.
Betty was respected, well-liked, and brought a happiness to Denny's that never existed before.
Thanks for the opportunity, Betty.
But on a cool February day in 2012, everything was about to change. It started out as a normal workday for Betty. She opened the store while whistling a happy tune and started her morning tasks. Her and the rest of the Denny's crew had handled the busy breakfast crowd with ease and were prepping for lunch when the restaurant's front door opened. An unknown man walked confidently towards the kitchen, wearing a sharp suit paired with a maroon tie. His professional attire was layered with a thick trench coat, and he firmly gripped a leather-bound briefcase in his right hand. Betty could tell this man wasn't just an ordinary patron, but that he meant business. He promptly asked the hostess to speak to a manager when Betty stepped forward to greet him. "Hello, I'm Betty, the manager here. How can I help you today?" she asked with a helpful tone. "Well, Betty, this is highly uncomfortable for me, but I've been sent here by corporate to become this restaurant's new manager," the man stated blankly. Betty was flooded with every emotion: embarrassment, confusion, and anger all rose to the surface as Betty tried to find her words. There has clearly been some sort of a mistake. I have been the manager here for 10 years, and I have no intention of changing that. By now, a small crowd of the Denny's crew had gathered close by, whispering among themselves. Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I'm here with my briefcase, aren't I? The man turned towards the small crowd that had started to form and addressed them too. What are we doing standing around? Everyone, back to work. The crew scattered as the man walked past Betty and into the kitchen. Betty stood there frozen for a moment, thinking and fuming. There was no way this could be true. But if it was, she wasn't going down without a fight. Betty angrily walked through the kitchen and into her manager's office, slamming the door shut. One of the cooks, Timmy, began gently tapping on her door window, but she had bigger problems to deal with. She dialed up the corporate office and proceeded to give them an earful of rage.
This really burns my bacon.
Once she had thoroughly expressed her feelings of betrayal and shock, there was a long pause on the other end of the telephone. Wow, Betty, I've never heard you so worked up before. So, we never sent anyone from corporate to replace you. I suggest you take a few deep breaths and then call the police. The tapping on her office window continued as Betty dropped her phone and yelled, "What is it, Timmy?" Timmy opened her office door and peeked his head inside. The new guy is out there making himself a burger and fries. He's also been guzzling down a Coke the whole time. Betty picked up her phone, hung up on corporate, and called 911. When police arrived to the Denny's restaurant, they found a 52-year-old man named James Summers midway through cooking himself a burger.
Oh, hey, fella. My God.
James tried to tell the police that he was indeed the new manager and therefore had all authority to use the kitchen. But after speaking with corporate, they placed James in handcuffs and searched him. In the search, police discovered a stun gun underneath James's trench coat and multiple crack pipes inside of his briefcase. When asked about the stun gun and if he had a permit for it, James was quoted in saying, "It's in the pipeline." And as James was later escorted out of the restaurant and into police custody, he was also quoted yelling to diners, "This is why you don't dine and dash, kiddies!" He was ultimately charged with disorderly conduct, drug possession, and possessing an electric weapon. Not just anyone can become a true boss. It takes much more than just oozing confidence. Experience and management skills are nice, but having a confirmed record of employment and a clean rap sheet are definitely a must. So if you hate your own boss with a burning passion, at least you can find comfort in knowing that they aren't a crackhead con artist just looking for a free meal. Or are they?
This is why you don't dine and dash kitties.
Words to live by.
What?
So this story almost genuinely to me just doesn't seem true. Because who, and I guess he wasn't in his right mind, but who in their right mind would specifically get dressed in a suit, put your crack pipes into a briefcase, walk into a Denny's, pretend to be the manager just so you could cook yourself a free meal?
It's wild, and I like it. I mean, dress for the job you want, right?
I guess. The confidence on this man.
Yeah.
And he even looks so happy in his mugshot too, which obviously go to our social media accounts and the episode post this week. But Damn.
One of my favorite things about doing these petty crimes is looking at all the unbelievable shit that happens and then us trying to make a story around it to where it kind of makes sense. And one of my favorite things to do in this show, and it probably just comes down to my dumb sense of humor, is I like things that are just super stupid and childish.
Yeah.
Like when I did the one where the 18-year-old boy didn't want to go to work, so he made it look like he got kidnapped.
Right.
Basically, the whole thing, I was just like, oh, I've got a big ouchie. And then like the doctors were even like, yep, it seems that he has a massive ouchie.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just find that to be so funny and stupid.
Yeah.
But this is another one of those where I think the same thing. It's just like, he's wearing a suit. He must be a boss. And it's just clothes.
Suit, trench coat, briefcase. He is not playing around.
To him, he's just like, I wouldn't question it. I'm just going to put a suit on. And of course, these people are the same way. A suit? I won't question it.
And let me just say this too. Betty's name, the female current manager at Denny's name, was never released in any of the articles that I could find, at least. And her work ethic, her character, obviously, I had to fabricate it. But it is true. Literally every single thing that James did is true. He walked in with that exact outfit. Mm-hmm. He told the current lady manager, hey, you're out of here, I'm in. Like every little thing. And then obviously the back and forth talking when he was like, I'm here with a briefcase. Clearly that wasn't a quote. I was having fun with that.
Fun, childish dialogue.
Yes. And so that's why at the end, I specifically said he was quoted in saying these two things because he was. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing about one of the cooks knocking on her window, the whole thing about her calling corporate and being like, what the fuck, you're firing me? Literally all of that happened. And the cook was like, this dude's making a burger for himself and drinking all the soda and like... And then, I'm sorry, couldn't you have left your crack pipes at home?
Yeah.
You didn't have to put them in the briefcase.
That just seems like something that he did to entertain himself. Like, isn't this funny? My briefcase has crack pipes in it.
So, anyway, when I received this story, obviously I had to do it. Mm-hmm. Because I had other ones in my mind and I was like, okay, I was able to write this within a night. Like, it just was so fun, so outrageous, and so damn true. It just blew my mind.
So, for him to say, this is why you don't dine and dash, kiddies, is he saying that's what he was doing? And so, let me be an example for you?
You know, I think so.
Or was he trying to play it off as if he was dining and dashing? I don't know. Like, just to make that announcement to the room is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of have to take his words with a grain of salt just because he was probably on crack. But in my mind, I think he was, in a way, I guess he was dining and dashing. He probably was planning to make that meal and then dash out afterwards. Yeah. I really don't know. I don't know how long he was going to pretend to be the manager. None of us know. Maybe he was just embarrassed that he was getting taken out in front of all these people, so he felt like he had to say something. I really don't know. If
it was me, I would have just been like, I pretend to be the boss. Like, I would have at least just been like, this is a ridiculous situation. You all should know. I
know. I wouldn't want to be considered a normal diner and dasher.
Yeah, if you're much more than that, James.
Yes, James. Listen, James, I know you're listening to this show. You at least were a little more innovative, okay? Mm-hmm. Give yourself a little more credit.
And that's the kind of stuff we like here on Live, Laugh, Larceny.
He's not just a traditional diner and dasher.
Yeah.
He's a fake boss.
Literally.
Oh my God.
I do want to bring this up. It's kind of related to your crime. It's a different 24-hour breakfast restaurant. But have you seen that viral video going around right now of I don't think anything that broke it out really would have been good for our show as far as making a good story out of it.
Okay.
But the Waffle House fight that's been going around?
No.
I don't know what happened, but a group of people eating at Waffle House just lost their shit and were trying to fight the staff.
Oh, God.
And on the videos online, one of the people stood on top of the bar and was knocking all the plates off. And then they slipped and fell into the kitchen. And at one point, and this is why it's viral, at one point, a woman takes a chair from one of the tables and hurls it across the restaurant at one of the ladies behind the counter. And the Waffle House worker literally throws up one arm, catches it with one arm, and then just throws it to the side like, get that shit out of here. And it's awesome.
That worker is my hero.
Yeah, and this chair is thrown with some force, and this lady just, and she makes this look like a Bruce Lee, like karate movie look where it's like, come get some if you want some. And I don't think that lady wanted any after that, or at least I wouldn't have.
If somebody did that to a chair that I threw at them, I would immediately tail between the legs out the waffle shop. Waffle shop.
Out the waffle shop.
At the Waffle House.
Yeah, when we're done, I'm going to make you watch it because this lady is just a badass.
Is she like super in shape? Or was this an adrenaline rush?
I think
like
it was an
rage?
adrenaline thing.
Okay.
Because these are probably just drunk people destroying her Waffle House. But she just seemed like a shorter blonde lady, and she just threw it down and looked like, here we go.
Oh, hell yes.
It was awesome.
Woo! I gotta watch this. But yeah, breakfast places can get really weird.
Yeah, especially when you're 24 hours breakfast. That's when you
Yeah.
get the drunk crowd, and sometimes just shady characters choose that. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
Maybe it is because they think that they can blend in with the drunk crowd.
Maybe. I don't know. It was really weird too. None of the articles for this specific story that I'm remembering actually talked about what time it is, but is Denny's 24? I don't think it is.
I think some are, but maybe
Some-
not all of them.
Okay, because in my mind, the way I was reading it, it sounded like it was during the day. And I don't know if they said the time or not. Maybe actually they did. But somewhere in my mind, it was during the day, which I thought was even weirder. But I guess a boss coming in the middle of a night shift would be even weirder too.
Yeah. So I looked up the 3 most close by ones, and they're 24 hours.
Are they? Did not know that.
There's a November 2nd, 2022 article in Restaurant Business Online that says Denny's works to get more restaurants open 24 hours.
Wow. Are you a big Denny's fan?
No.
Yeah.
Back in my drinking days, it was Waffle House.
Waffle House.
I mean,
okay.
I've got nothing against Denny's. It's just there was never one conveniently close by.
And you're not an IHOP kind of guy either? More of a Waffle House over IHOP?
Well, if I'm going to eat late and drunk, it's Waffle House.
Okay.
If I'm going to have a breakfast at breakfast time, I'm going to go with one of our smaller, not chain options that are a little more homemade.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Damn, poor Waffle Houses. All the drunkies be going there.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some weird stuff in them myself. All right. Well, that was lovely. And I can definitely see how that story sort of just wrote itself.
100%. Maybe the easiest one I've ever written.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You deserve an easy one. So I've got a story for you.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give away exactly what I'm saying here, but I will say that this is a little different as far as sometimes we have those ones where people's motivations are a little different. Most of them is usually just being a petty shit or you need some money or something or you're mad at somebody. But this is a bit different of a motivation. And it might just leave you a little torn on who you side with.
Okay. I'm for it.
So here we go. Have I ever mentioned on this podcast how much I love Taylor Swift? Of course I have. Quite recently, in fact. When talking about the man who robbed Walmart using magic, it left me wide open to share how magical I found Taylor to be. As deep as my love for Taylor runs, I do feel compelled to share a conflict I've had with her lately. Everyone knows the lyrics to her popular song, Antihero. Whether it be from the radio or the TikTok trend that everyone jumped on.
Aren't my flaws sexy?
Literally, within 6 hours of the album dropping. I swear, someone skimmed that album as quickly as possible with the attempt to find a TikTokable line.
I'm gonna go viral for this one.
Anyway, I find the song to be really catchy, and I do like it. But there's something about it that I don't like. And I'm not just talking about the sexy baby line. I grew up a huge fan of superheroes and comic books. To me, the anti-hero is a character who still does some heroic things, but in less morally correct ways. The Punisher straight up killed bad guys with guns.
Take that, you bastard!
Mainly because he was wanting revenge for the death of his family. but he was still killing bad guys. That kind of approach is what makes an anti-hero, to me. You root for that guy to still get those bad guys, even though that may not be his main reasoning, and his tactics are lacking your typical heroic traits or code of ethics. In Taylor's song, it seems more to me like she's talking about a villain, or the inner struggle between the ego and the id. The music video only furthers my belief by basically having the regular version of herself being followed around and driven to do bad by an evil version of herself. Typically, an anti-hero is focused on their own inner conflict, and the saving the day part just happens to be part of the process. I get how Taylor is having her own inner struggle, but how is she saving the day? What bit of being a hero is she stumbling upon around fighting all of these negative inner thoughts? If I think really hard on it, I can tell myself that the heroic thing she is doing is creating beautiful music for all of the world to sing.
Ooh, look what you made me do.
And to me, I guess that's enough. In the end, even scholars have differing opinions on what defines an anti-hero. I'm sure Taylor represents one way, while I have always viewed it in the other. I'm not saying Taylor is wrong and I'm right. I'm just stating that it has always been conflicting for me when I enjoy that song. Please don't bash me, all my fellow Swifties. Suffice to say, I wanted to pull a page out of Taylor's book and do the parentheses, Trevin's version of antihero. But let's be honest, I had a great antihero story, but I couldn't think of this story without thinking of this song first, so I figured I would just combine the two. Today's story will focus on a type of petty criminal that we really don't talk too much about. A hero. Or I guess, an anti-hero. You know, I think there will probably be some differing opinions on this person, depending on how you view life. So throw your moral beliefs and ideals to the side, because we're about to find ourselves in a whole lot of conflict. Stephen was a good man who wasn't afraid to stand up for himself and others. Living in Long Island, New York, he learned quickly how to speak up in moments of high stress.
I'm walking here.
The different kinds of attitudes and situations that a New Yorker ran into on a daily basis were trying. Only the strong survived in these parts. Throughout his life, he had seen it all. Bullies trying to take his lunch money, people cutting in line at the buffet,
I need this more than you.
and door-to-door salespeople. Each time one of these evils reared their ugly head, Stephen was quick to step in and fight for what was right.
No soliciting.
Some might even say that Stephen liked the confrontation. But of all the villains Stephen had taken on, there was one that posed to be his most formidable foe: the Suffolk County Department of Transportation. For the last 6 years, Stephen watched as Long Island's traffic lights slowly began to have red light cameras installed. Intersection after intersection, they would pop up, until you couldn't go a single block without crossing paths with one of these criminal cameras. Stephen's hate for these contraptions grew bigger and bigger every time he would get in his car. His commutes had taken longer due to shorter yellow lights and people stopping prematurely to avoid tickets. While there was at least one slowdown a week from fender benders caused by the camera's watchful eye. Just the sight of them was enough to ruin his day. At first, Stephen would flip off every red light camera he drove under, just hoping that the camera operator may feel some of the same anger he felt when seeing the lights.
What did I do?
But just like doing mushrooms every day for a month straight, it eventually lost its power.
Oh.
But just when Stephen thought his hate for the cameras couldn't get any stronger, he went out to his mailbox on a peaceful August afternoon.
Howdy, neighbor.
Stephen's neighbor Ted called out as they both opened up their mailboxes. These two suburban men had an unspoken agreement that they would both get their mail at the same time every day. At 12:30 sharp, both men would step out of their front doors, wearing their house shoes and bathrobes, just to greet each other on their way to the mailbox.
Hey, howdy.
This encounter was always capped off with Ted stating that he only had bills
Bills again?
and asking if Steven wanted to trade mail.
Wanna trade?
Steven would chuckle to himself, but deep down be thinking about how bad he wanted to bury Ted in his new rose garden out back.
I'm gonna kill you.
After sifting through his mail, Steven waited for Ted's usual cheesy joke to signify that it was time to go back inside. Instead, he heard a frantic tearing of paper coming from his right. Steven assumed Ted got a birthday card he was excited about, but before he could start heading back to his front door, that's when he heard the wails of a grown man. "Oh my God! Why? I can't take it! I'm in hell! I'm in hell!" Ted screamed, as his body collapsed right there on the sidewalk's curb. Steven ran directly over to him. "What's wrong?" Steven yelled, while standing directly over the limp-bodied man. Without the exchange of words, Ted lifted a piece of paper above his head and handed it to Steven. "Dear Ted," Steven began to read, "you ran a red light. You are a bad guy. Now pay us $80. Sincerely, the Suffolk County Department of Transportation." Steven couldn't believe his eyes. "Is this true? Did you really do this?" Steven asked. Wiping his tears with his bathrobe, Ted confirmed, "I watched the light turn from green to yellow. I swore I had time. But before I could make it through, the yellow changed to red. I've been framed. You've got to believe me." Steven dropped the paper on the body of his crying neighbor and turned his head up towards the sky. "I know now what I must do," Steven said to himself as he walked back to his house. Steven slipped on his favorite pair of Batman pajamas and went into his computer room, or as he liked to call it, the Batcave. "It's time to do some detective work," he said, as he began to furiously Google information on Long Island's red light cameras. One article after another, Steven uncovered more and more problematic information. The number of crashes had gone up since the camera's installation, and the cameras were potentially illegal due to the fact that licensed engineers did not approve them. If Steven gasped any harder at these discoveries, he would have needed mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Steven racked his brain on possible ways to stop this injustice. But how could one man take on an entire metropolitan area abusing its power? At that moment, Steven caught a glimpse of himself in the reflection of his computer screen. All he could see was his face and the Batman symbol from his Batman pajamas. "I'm not the hero Long Island wants, but I'm the hero it deserves," he said to himself. In a flash, Steven took to the streets with an adjustable pole. Whenever traffic was not near, he would run under the lights, extend the pole, and push the cameras up towards the sky. Anytime the camera was triggered to take a photo, it would instantly send the city a beautiful photo of the blue Long Island sky. "What's the matter, Suffolk County? Got your head in the clouds?" Steven said to himself, channeling the tone of his favorite childhood superheroes. His crusade continued until over a dozen different red light cameras were pointed away from being able to photograph cars. He continued moving along to different intersections until he was eventually stopped by a passing police officer. "Hey, come over here," the cop called from his car. Steven approached the vehicle, ready to argue his case. "Listen," Steven said, "this goes all the way to the top, and I won't let this city continue to harm good people." The police officer put his head down in shame. "I gotta bring you in. There were reports of you tampering with city property, and we can't have nothing to show for it. Come on in the car, we can go fill out some paperwork. My suggestion is that you stop this. You're onto something big, and there are powerful people involved," the officer said, as he opened the back door to let Steven in. With a future court date set, Steven was released. All the while, he couldn't get what the cop said out of his head. What did he mean that I was onto something big? Steven thought to himself. He had a big decision to make. Either it was time to hang up the vigilantism or double down and save Long Island. He decided to get back to the Batcave and do more research. Could there have been something in the articles that he missed? Could this go all the way to the top? By this time, Small local sheriff's reports had picked up on what Stephen had done with his adjustable pole. People at the supermarket would randomly high-five him, while Ted left a basket of edible arrangements on his front doorstep.
Oh boy!
It seemed that he had a lot of support on his side, but still not enough information to really crack this case wide open. Back at the Batcave, Stephen was sticking pictures on his corkboard and connecting them with red string, hoping it would help solve the conspiracy. Just as he opened a new package of yarn, his phone began ringing. Stephen rushed over and answered it. All he heard on the other end was slow breathing. He demanded forcefully that they speak up.
Speak up, you coward!
Finally, a voice on the other end came through. I shouldn't be making this call. I don't know if this is a secure line, so I'll make this quick. I'm an officer for the Long Island Police Department. You're right. You're right about everything. This is a cash grab by the city. Once those cameras were installed, the yellow light time was shortened from 6 seconds to 3, just to pull in more revenue with people running them. Do what you will with this information. Peace. The voice on the other line immediately disappeared into a dial tone. This was exactly what Stephen needed to hear. No strongly worded email or Facebook status was going to bring forth any change. He needed to stay the course and stop this injustice. It was time for the final showdown. With a belt of tools at his disposal, Stephen escaped into the night. Approaching his first intersection, he saw the target. "There you are, you little bastard," Stephen said to the camera mounted on its own pole. In one swift motion, Stephen pulled out his saw and cut the entire camera down to the ground. "Can anybody say timber?" Stephen said to himself. Realizing that cutting a pole down was not the quickest of tasks, he decided to simplify his approach. Continuing on, each camera that he encountered was mounted on the traffic lights. Instead of cutting down the entire traffic light system, Stephen unscrewed the control panel and cut the wires, leaving the cameras inoperable. By the end of the night, Stephen had ruined 19 different red light cameras, making his city a safer place. However, once the city found that their cameras were physically altered to stop working, they knew exactly who to speak to. The following morning, Stephen answered a knock at his door, where he saw 2 police officers waiting for him. With a look of pride in his eyes, Stephen began to speak. "It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me." In August of 2015, Long Island man Stephen Ruth started a war with the Suffolk County Department of Transportation. After the red light cameras were installed in 2009, he began to hear stories of people he knew unjustly getting tickets for running red lights that he felt were set up to raise the number of offenders. After his first arrest for using an adjustable painter's pole to reposition cameras, the arresting officers hinted that he was onto something big, as other officers later contacted him to confirm his suspicions about the timing of the yellow lights. Feeling confident in his decisions to continue fighting, Stephen cut down a camera pole and cut wires for 18 other cameras, leaving a total of 19 inoperable red light cameras throughout the city. He was later arrested and charged with a series of felony indictments that would have led to him serving 7 years in prison and paying $85,000 in repair costs. In interviews, Stephen said, "If they want to throw more charges at me when they're the ones acting unconstitutional, that's their line of defense," while vowing to continue the fight. "If I get sentenced to time in jail, so be it." During the time of his trial, anti-red light camera lawmakers attempted to suspend the lights until further data was released, proving whether or not safety was worse with them there. The suspension attempts were shot down, and safety data was collected a year later. The data showed that about half of the intersections with the red light cameras had accidents with injuries up, while 2 specific intersections had over doubled their accidents. However, the report states that total accidents with serious injuries were down 4% at red light camera intersections, basically stating that cameras were possibly causing way more fender benders by people stopping at the quick yellow lights, but less big crashes in the intersection were happening. Stephen Ruth's stunts caught the attention of many judges, congressmen, and senators, while the media began to call him the Red Light Robin Hood. Many of these people in power were able to confirm that the cameras did come with much more fierce red light times, and that a $30 administrative fee added to the tickets was just a chance to make more revenue. According to Ranker.com, cities in Texas brought in some $100 million during just 3 years of red light camera use, while Florida made in excess of $100 million during a single year. After Stephen's court date, he struck up a plea deal, pleading guilty to 1 count of criminal mischief, reducing the sentence of 7 years in prison to 1 year of probation. There were no published articles stating how much of the $85,000 he would have to pay back. In 2016, Stephen had officially launched a Senate campaign, but did not win. As for the red light cameras, anti-camera lawmakers were unable to get them taken down. But as of December of 2022, 6 years later, Suffolk County was able to get the $30 administrative fee taken off the fines. Triggering a Suffolk County red light camera will now cost you $50. I know this was a bit of a longer one, so I will keep the ending short. There was just so much going on in the case of Stephen Ruth and the Suffolk County red light camera system. As is the case with most anti-hero stories, it did come down to a bittersweet ending. Of course, Stephen got off lucky not having to serve jail time, but he also didn't beat the system he set out to fight. So maybe Taylor Swift was right all along. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
Whoa. What a story.
Yeah.
I found it extremely fascinating to hear the safety statistics and data that was collected afterwards. I freaking hate those cameras. It just seems like such a money grab to me.
Yeah.
How about we do some actual police work, you know?
Instead of automating it with cameras.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some good things. I'm sure it's not all bad, right?
Right.
But when they're being used to specifically kind of capture somebody going through a red light and specifically shortening the yellow light to do that, that is just some shit.
Yeah, that was the thing that blew my mind the most. I thought at first he just didn't like red light cameras.
Yeah.
But then when he uncovered that it really was true that they had shortened the yellow lights in half just to catch people who were like, oh, I know how yellow lights go. And then just like, gotcha.
Yep.
He's right. And then people are more scared of even attempting to do that yellow light, so they stomp the brakes real quick. Fender benders all the time.
Damn. And speaking of that, that is our connection today, is that both of the people that were kind of onto something not being right, they made a phone call or received a phone call with information confirming their suspicions.
Yeah, suspicious people.
Yes. My lady was like, I don't think this is the new boss. Your guy was like, I think they're doing something with the lights here. And that's crazy, too, that police actually confirmed that with your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't even make that much up. I mean, I made up all the Batman Batcave stuff. But when he got arrested, that's in the articles, the first time he got arrested, the cops were like, you're onto something. You need to stop. And they didn't even handcuff him. They just let him get in the car, which that sounds like some privilege there.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, we're just going to take you to the precinct and we'll fill out some paperwork. And then they let him go. And then they said, yeah, he was actually getting contacted. Like somebody had called him, which they may have actually gave him the name of themselves and not been like, I don't know if this is a safe line. But somebody actually called him and was just like, no, you're right. You need to keep fighting for the truth.
I mean, it's pretty dumb. It's just a money grab thing. And it's also causing more fender benders. Like, what?
Yeah, I see what they mean, though. Like, you're getting less T-bone accidents and stuff where people are getting just, like, slammed running the red light in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're willing to talk about money, what costs more, having a small amount of huge wrecks or a ton of tiny ones? I don't know. Obviously, you don't want people to die, so the fender benders kind of work, but it's like a catch-22. I mean, either way, you're going to have something happen.
Yeah. It just seems sketchy. Really. It seems like it wasn't done in a way where they're like, this will prevent more T-bones. Their intention was, let's shorten this, catch more people, and get more revenue.
Yeah, if you wanted to have the red lights and kept the yellow lights alone, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that you did that shows that you're looking to make money.
Exactly. I don't think it was done with the intention of, we're going to stop more T-bones, you know? And that's what's really weird and gross about it all.
Yeah, because they are for sure making money on policing these intersections with cameras.
Oh, hell yeah. With the extra money you just said, I was like, damn, I was shocked.
Yeah, and the $30 administrative fee, like, why?
Exactly. What is that fee for?
It's like getting a concert ticket, and it's like, these are your convenience fees and this fees. Except you choose to go to a concert. I didn't choose to have a short yellow light catch me off guard and take a picture of me real quick.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad they at least got rid of that extra BS fee.
6 years later.
My God. Yeah, like how much did this guy... I know you couldn't find in the articles. I am curious how much, if he had to pay any of that.
I'm going to guess he had a great lawyer, or maybe one of those congressmen stepped in and helped him.
Yeah.
Because how do you get $85,000 worth of damage and then have your punishment set at 7 years in prison and somehow get it down to 1 year probation?
And it also could have been that the police force was like, ooh, we don't want people to know we shortened the yellow light kind of thing, too.
Yeah.
But I bet he had a good lawyer or some sort of higher connection. I don't know. It goes all the way to the top.
It does.
Everywhere we look.
I will say that I wanted to make this guy even more of a hero and kind of do some more follow-up on him.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, how did Senator Run go? Like, what happened? Did a little bit of digging. He's a QAnon guy.
No!
So I wanted to give everybody all the badassery he did first and then been like, okay, he's maybe not so cool.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Another connection is both of our criminals were kind of like, do we like them? Do we hate them?
Yeah, they're innovative too.
Yes, that's true. Oh my God. Well, that sucks. But, it makes for a very interesting story.
It does.
So we'll give them that. We'll give both of them that.
Yeah, I think fighting the power, it started off as a good thing for him.
Yeah.
And then it kind of ramped up to being like, well...
Now I'm going to take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Oh, wowza. Well, what a week. I hope everyone out there is just having the best time of their lives. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to fight Big Milk 2023.
Down with Big Milk. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you to all of you donkey lovers out there for listening to our show today.
And if you're still going through a surplus of dried milk from World War I, why don't you hit us up on social media? Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever dressed up like a boss to get a free meal, send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And rate us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Good Pods directly after you watch that video of the woman catching a chair in Waffle House. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the show that makes one... Yikes. Okay.
It's all right, Trevin.
It's the second time I've done this ever.
I know. What is happening?
Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, the show that takes one person's... I hate the wording of this. Okay, we're just going to say it the way it is.
Okay.